everybody. Live from a beautiful, cold Southern California day. It's the O-ZONE. I'm your host, Omar Miller. I'm here with my brother on a beautiful, beautiful sunsetty kind of afternoon. The Astros fan, the icons. How are you?
I would like to go with a brisk, not a cold.
Well, okay, that's fine. Semantics. You can say potato or potato. I'll say sign stealer. Let's get straight into it. Now
you want to ambush me?
Just like the Astros ambushed Clayton Kershaw.
The Astros did not ambush Clayton Kershaw.
The Astros might have ruined Clayton Kershaw's life.
Clayton Kershaw
$40
has
million
to take
a year. You could ruin a man's life by stealing his signs and relaying them to the batter. Now talk to me. I know you want to come in hot. I know you want to come in hot. You've been wanting to talk about this for a while. The scandal exploded. For anybody who doesn't know what's going on, we're jumping in. We're talking about Major League Baseball straight away. We got boxing to cover. We got football to cover. We got a lot to cover. But most importantly, the 2017 World Series has just recently been confirmed as tainted by Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, this is just a recap. You don't have to look at me crazy. I'm not Major League Baseball. I did not conduct the investigation. Major League Baseball, as per Commissioner Manfred, and conducted an investigation where they found that there was an elaborate scheme of sign stealing that took place for the Houston Astros, orchestrated, and I feel like this part is really being downplayed, orchestrated primarily by the players.
Right.
Facilitated by bench coach Alex Cora, who is really getting thrown under the bus on this thing. And the fallout was...
And Carlos Beltran.
Yep. And the fallout was pretty serious. The fallout was, a $5 million fine, which seems like nothing for a team that's worth $1 billion, but that's the max that you can give. What's really big is that 2 years worth of first and second round draft picks with as hot as the Astros drafted to get to this point of success. You see how important the draft picks are.
They really aren't, though, for them because they would be picking.
They're already there now.
Yeah, and they would be picking on the tail end anyway.
Yeah, but it's still picks.
And nobody.
There's a guy named Terry Miller that was available in the draft late.
Exactly.
Could have been a contender.
But you also have to have good scouts. So there's a lot of guys who fall through the wickets.
Yep. So, which means that it could be important, but either way it goes, we're just going over the fallout of the penalty.
But I digress.
And then they suspended their head coach for a year and suspended the GM and suspended the GM Jeff Luhnow for a year. To which the president of the team, owner of the team, oil man Big Jim Crane, who eats a lot of Angus beef and drinks scotch, decided. He said, "I'm going to the next level. I'm firing these guys." So a suspension isn't enough. Now, talk to me, because there's a fantastic article in the LA Times by Bill Plaschke, another friend of the O-ZONE, about how not only did the Astros taint and cheat the World Series, they tainted LA sports history, because it was a 29-year drought for the Dodgers to win the World Series, which is now up to 31 years. And you furthered the narrative that Dave Roberts doesn't know what he's doing in October, that Clayton Kershaw should be on suicide watch in October, and he brought up some very interesting stats that I want to bring them up to you.
Well, bring him up because I haven't read his article.
Oh, okay. So in his article,
lay him out.
He says some really, really incredible stuff.
Okay, let me answer him as you go.
First thing he says is, this brings an end to the mystery behind why the Dodgers' three hottest pitchers at the time got jumped on only in Houston. Because he brought up a good point and said, well, Clayton Kershaw himself actually pitched the greatest game of his playoff career in Game 1. He went 7+, struck out 11 dudes, and gave up 1 earned run. He got to Texas. Between him and Brandon Morrow, who had given up 2 runs over 12 or 24 innings of relief.
Brandon Morrow, they just overused him, though.
He'd only given up 2 runs.
They usually catch up with you eventually.
At which point, they gave up 10 runs in one game between the two of them.
Sounds about right.
No, that doesn't sound right. And so that's what he said. And he had some really, really interesting, the way that he put it, it's worth the read in the LA Times, because he talked about how obviously there's no way to get the parade or even to give the Dodgers a championship ring. But he's saying that, which we also know will never happen, that the Astros should vacate their title and leave it open in the history books.
That's ridiculous.
The last piece that I want to go on before you go on your rant.
I'm not going on a rant.
I'm
not going on a rant. No rant here.
Is Jeff Luhnow was not having it. Jeff Luhnow got fired and threw everybody under the bus. First and foremost,
he had nothing to do with it.
He said, I had nothing to do with it.
I'm not mad at it.
He said, I didn't know about it, and I had nothing to do with it. And somehow or another, I'm and ruining the legacy of my 30-year baseball career. With everybody who knows me knows that I have, if I have nothing else, I have integrity, because I'm with the teams when they lose, and I build them up to let them win. And now this is my legacy. When this was coordinated by the players and facilitated by the coaches. AJ Hinch actually says, apparently what the investigation found was AJ Hinch was so far against this system, he knew about it. He went so far as to damage the camera that was the sign-stealing camera 2 different times throughout the season. And they went back and ran it right back up. That's how important it was for the players to have the advantage so that they could get over. Now go ahead and give us some MAGA and justify why it's okay for them to be morally corrupt.
No Maxi Priest and MAGA here. Maxi Priest and MAGA. No, I'm just saying that it is an unfair advantage for them to have or to know the signs or the pitch that's coming. It still does not help you hit the pitch, regardless of what all the hypocrites are saying, all the Major League Baseball players coming out and saying, oh, well, if I knew what was coming, I'd definitely spin on it. Listen, dude, the prime example of that is Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger knows what's coming to him in the playoffs, in big-time situations, and can't even make contact.
I disagree with that.
You disagree, but it's the actual fact. Cody Bellinger, you sit there in the stands and know how they're going to pitch Cody Bellinger. Why wouldn't Cody Bellinger know how they're going to pitch him? Not to throw it on Cody Bellinger, but what I'm saying,
you are kind of throwing it on Cody
Bellinger.
No,
it's not on Cody Bellinger. I'm just using
Bellinger actually balled in those games down in Houston.
He balled one game. He balled one game out of 4. So I'm using him as a frame of.
He only played 3 games in Houston. He balled
one game in all of the World Series. One game.
He played well 2 games, but one game was the game that he really showed out.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that as a frame of reference, you can know what's coming because Cody Bellinger knows what's coming a lot of times, and you can't execute. Baseball is not like basketball or football. You're trying to hit a small ball with a round bat, even if you know you have to know the velocity, the location.
These are professionals, though.
It doesn't matter. We watch professionals on football right now all the time who drop passes, who don't hit jump shots, and now we're acting like that they're not flawed. They're flawed. It was the wrong thing to do. But for everybody, and you can say that it's tainted or whatever, but
if you look at the swings that they put on a lights out Brandon Morrow, Brandon Morrow was lights out up until Game 5 of the World Series. Brandon Morrow was lights out. You can check the numbers.
So what happened? So what happened to the Dodgers? What happened to the Dodgers this year against the Nationals?
What does that have to do with them stealing signs?
Because the Nationals jumped on their pitchers just like.
That was 2 years removed from the scandal. You're giving me a whataboutism right now.
No, I'm giving you the truth.
What happened to what happened in '86 to Bill Buckner?
It went through the wickets, but the thing of it is that it didn't cost him the World Series. Everybody lives with this narrative that Bill Buckner called you the World Series. He didn't. That was another game and everything else. This is overrated. This is completely overblown. It's sensationalized, and everybody's acting like the Dodgers should get a layup. It's still, if you told both teams,
who's saying the Dodgers should get a layup?
Everybody's saying that the Dodgers got ripped off of the World Series. They didn't get ripped off the World Series. They still needed to hit the ball. They still needed to pitch. They needed to do everything that the Astros did. The Astros had an unfair advantage. I agree. But the unfair advantage we cannot ever come to a conclusion that it helped them win the series.
What you're saying is in direct contradiction with what you're saying.
Not really.
How can you have an unfair advantage and it not help you? You're talking about
if you can execute.
Nobody is questioning whether or not Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa,
and by the way,
Riel, and all of these guys can execute. They're Major League Baseball players. They can execute without help.
Sometimes.
This is, of course, and that's the game. And but the problem is, if that's the case, then everybody in that series needed to know what Justin Verlander was going to throw. Everybody needed to know what Charlie Morton was going to throw. Everybody needed to know if that's what we're dealing with, then that's the only way to make it fair. It's in the past now. I'm not somebody who believes that they should give the rings back. It is what it is. I actually think this fallout is an actual major scandal. I think this is the biggest scandal in baseball since the strike. And
you're not going Black Sox.
No, I think the steroids were bigger than this. But I think it's a very, very big scandal. The thing that I think that's a trip about this is
what you tripping off of.
How about the idea that it was Mike Fires who decided to out the whole thing?
Because he's on another team that he can't
How about that? Nobody's bringing up any of the way that this got started, you know? How about him deciding, well, you know what? Yeah, they do cheat down there. I know because I was there.
Right.
And then your man came on as well. Now, the most, and we talked about it on the pod, the most telling part of this whole thing was when Danny Farquhar came out and they have that video when he figured out the system.
Right.
And because honestly, I would think that if you're on a team that's doing that, that's that kind of thing that you take to your grave. So even when you get on another team or whatever,
you don't let the cat out the bag.
Yeah, unless you're about to pitch out there and you're like, hey man, we need to change sides. It's blah, blah, blah.
Well, my problem is that, you know what, these guys are talking about the unfair advantage. They come back and they want to tell on their other teammates or whatnot. I'm not going to say from Little League, but from high school.
From Little League. From
whatever.
League.
Everybody.
In serious
competitions. Yeah. Everybody works to get an advantage. This is an advantage. Everybody still signs and track pitchers to find out if a guy's tipping pitches or whatever. And now
all of that is totally different.
Yeah, but the only footage. The video footage. It's not even a problem with the video footage more so than it is with them relaying it.
Yeah.
While it's going on, that's the problem.
Real time relays.
Exactly.
And the thing,
but what are the batting averages?
Watching the MLB network, real quick. Watching MLB network, it's something that Cliff Floyd said that is real as a baseball player, no matter what level you're on. If you have the confidence and you can see, whether you use the Cody Bellinger example or whether you use any other example, guys get 2 strikes, guys get down in the count and this, that, and the other. They have to go with a more tepid approach. They have to go timidly to the opposite field. They have to do other stuff. You watch the Houston Astros dig in against, at that time, the best pitcher in the world in Clayton Kershaw, and they dug in, and he was still throwing 94, 95.
Well, let me ask you, riddle me this, Batman. Why was he effective early in the game, and then he wasn't effective later on in the game? He was effective.
He was not effective.
He was early. He was effective in Houston. He was effective early in the game. He had a lead up until about the 5th inning when they actually jumped on him.
No, that's not.
So when
we watch the thing.
So when did they jump on him?
They jumped on him in the 2nd and the 5th because the Dodgers jumped out. He gave up the lead. Then the Dodgers jumped way out. Like they put up like another 5 spot. And then he gave up the booty. He gave up like 5. And guys were teeing off. That, you know good and well in 2000, from 2011 to 2017, that's not Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, like,
and Brandon Morrow couldn't get an out. He couldn't get 1 out. They jumped his ish. And ultimately the big problem that I have with it is just what you're saying. Everybody's trying to get an advantage. But there is a legal way to get an advantage. Nobody's mad at teams stealing signs.
Well, they are mad, but no. I'm not going to say that because pitchers and teams are upset when they catch you stealing signs, and that usually means. And I've been on base throwing signs before and everything, and the pitcher will turn around to you on the bump and tell you, "Hey, man, you're going to get drilled in your head if you keep throwing signs. If you keep."
And that's the chance if you.
Yeah, but if these guys knew that they were throwing signs,
they didn't know. What are you talking about?
The other teams have
found out.
No, the other teams always thought or insinuated. The Yankees talked about it. There's always been teams.
The only team that insinuated it said it directly. And Aaron Boone came out and said it directly and said, hey, you know what? It seems like there's a problem with signs in this place. And A.J. Hinch downplayed the whole thing and said, yeah, see, our psychological game is working. And then when they played the Red Sox that year that they got cheated with the Mookie Betts call, Alex Cora said something about it, which now looks just unbelievable. And AJ Hinch responded again or something to that effect. Now they're saying that the punishment is going to be severe for Alex Cora, and I don't know what that means.
I heard him say that it's going to be severe, but then also I've heard him say that it can't be as severe because
he's no longer on the team.
Yeah, he's no longer on the team. You can't punish him. You can't punish the Red Sox for what he's done. And then, but they're
same as Carlos Beltran, huh?
Exactly. But they're also saying that he cheated. The Red Sox have been doing it now, so we have to wait till the smoke clears. So,
wow.
Yeah, so we have to wait till the smoke clears to see if the Red Sox have actually been doing it, since he's supposed to be the person who incorporated it.
He's supposed to be the person that really
he's incorporated.
He's LLC times S Corp times C Corp. He's really Alex Cora, right. LLC / Inc. Man, wow, that's a lot. Well, moving on to Major League Baseball, I mean, that's the only thing I really wanted to cover because that's the big news, other than the absurdity that the Colorado Rockies are trying to move
Nolan Arenado and the Cardinals are wide open to it. They're like,
as they should be.
Yeah.
As they should.
They have the pieces to get it done.
All right, we're going to move on to something that has absolutely nothing to do with sports, but it's highly competitive. How about this Jeopardy greatest of all time tournament?
Man,
I just want to bring it up real quick.
Yeah, I'm a Ken Jennings fan, and you're.
Yeah, I guess he go KJ.
I'm going KJ now, and since you went James.
I went with the homie James.
Yes, I'm going
a Brad fan. That's what I want to know.
Who's a what fan?
A Brad fan. You can't even remember the guy's name playing so.
That's
fast.
what I said. Who? Brad ended up in the negative the first game. And so it makes it really, really hard, I mean, for me to root for somebody who doesn't look like they should be even up there.
It's insane that he has the highest total of all time.
I mean, big
a winning total. Big G.
4.6.
Life-changing money.
Yeah. And that he actually just, ran to the bank with, and now he can't even answer. I'm competitive with it.
The greatest Jeopardy player of all time.
Sometimes.
But Brad? No, the answer is Ken Jennings. Thank you.
Brad Gabriel?
Exactly. Yeah, so I mean, I am a James fan. I like how James moves. He's man.
I saw James fall apart when Ken Jennings put it on him.
Too far with.
I know, I spoke to a couple other people too.
4 questions out of the whole board.
No, he did not. The last match against Ken Jennings,
4 questions,
and there was 4 too many. He missed his double Jeopardy. He missed double Jeopardy, and then also when Ken Jennings jumped in front of him, he fell apart. He literally fell apart. He started randomly trying to, but I also watched a special about him that shows how he actually picks and how he actually tries to win. And his process is that he goes after the double Jeopardy,
right.
Which has a higher percentage on the 4th row, and that he actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he goes into it,
which makes sense because I want to say I've seen that Brad guy pick. You remember the first 4 games, he won all the double Jeopardies. He didn't win them, but he had the opportunity. He received all the double Jeopardy quotes, and a lot of those were in the 4th row.
Well, they're encouraged to start from the top and work down, but
those guys go from the bottom up.
Those guys go from the bottom up.
Big
and then,
money.
Especially James. James has established himself as going after the double Jeopardies. He gets you in the hole, and then from there he pounds you out because now you have to extend yourself to try to, catch up with him. So he'll have a nice pot, and then with the double Jeopardies, he doubles it with his gambler's mentality, which then extends the lead. Like he had that big lead that he actually did it on the last match where he lost to Ken Jennings. He had a $5,000 lead, a 5,000 point lead or whatever. He doubled down on it, so he would have been 10,000.
Oh yeah, and he lost it all.
Nothing, and he lost.
They both had 0,
and then that's when the can of whoop ass opened up on him.
Well, I mean, it went back to 0. I don't think actually that isn't when it opened up at all. You know why? What happened? No, it isn't. They all were tight, and Ken got a daily double and doubled up.
But you have to double up off of something.
That's when he stretched it out.
You got to double up off of something. Ken Jennings had gotten the lead, and then he doubled up, and he put it on your boy.
They were neck and neck, and Ken Jennings doubled, and James had.
Why must you test me? He was not. He was not.
Oh my God, this guy. Ken Jennings
was not neck and neck. They were not neck and neck.
Ken Jennings doubled, and James had already messed up the double.
Baseball, you double. Which line he go down?
He didn't go down like gaps.
You had the gaps.
The gaps. Yes. Almost bomb.
Almost bomb off the wall.
Off the wall.
But he don't got no speed, so you had to try it the second.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll pull into second with a second with a ground rule double.
Round second, faking like he gonna go 3. See if he can draw a throw. Yeah. Anyways,
Jeopardy was crazy.
It might be over by the time this airs to you guys, but I'm pulling for James.
Ken Jennings.
Let me tell you what I do know.
What do you know?
Is that Jeopardy's greatest of all time tournament destroyed us as the unicorn in the ratings.
Oh, did it? Hello. That's big, man. This is big.
They're doing old Walking Dead numbers. They're doing like 16 million a night.
You can go around and speak to anybody about it. I went to my doctor. I went to my doctor. He was like, hey, did you see the Jeopardy? Hey, James fell apart. Ken Jennings really pulled away from you. I was like, yeah, I agree.
Man, this is big news.
Yeah.
We figured we'd throw that in.
Big.
Not too much time. But moving on, big weekend of NFL football.
Humongous.
And where the O-Zone was right, as we said, was there's still no answer for the 6'3", 250-pound, 4'3/4'4".
Did you take a couple inches off of him? I think he's 6'4", 6'5".
He looks like he's 6'9" out there. He looks bigger than everybody except for the offensive line.
Exactly. He looks like a man-child.
He really does.
And he stuffed it down their throat just like he can stuff it down anybody's throat.
Wow.
30.
And
he got his 30 touches. 30 to 35.
O-Zone in Tennessee. You didn't know?
Oh, well, no.
Let me find out. National, listen to the O-Zone. You're all right, Omar. You're all right. Ciao. Anyways, that's from the Lost Files. So that game went as expected. I really think it's unfortunate because Lamar Jackson, they're trying to give Lamar Jackson this choker thing as if he's been playing for 15 years. Well, even this is his second playoff game.
Lamar Jackson does not play defense.
First and foremost, get ran all over. Lamar didn't get
Lamar messed up. I could see that the sophomore jinx is considered a sophomore right now because he was in the but you can see where it set in, but he was playing from behind. Their team is not built to play from behind. No. They have a problem because when this guy,
that's what we said.
And no matter who it is or what team they play against, even if it's Patrick Mahomes, if the guy touches the ball, because the first time that he played against him, he had Kansas City, he had 188 yards on 20 carries. So you have to amplify that if he has 10 carries against
10 more
him.
Carries.
Yeah, 10 more carries, and they're not good at stopping the run again.
Right. They're looking 250 yards.
Patrick Mahomes and them might be in trouble. I mean, you can literally – now, it's not what the NFL wants because they don't want to see Patrick Mahomes – the Tennessee Titans versus the 49ers. You would like to see – Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, a sort of a pass the torch situation. So I would look to see some
questionable
calls out there in the NFL.
Whoa! Breaking news: the Red Sox and Alex Cora have agreed to mutually part ways.
Right on the O-Zone. You heard it here, champ.
Wow!
They said that, but they were saying that probably was going to happen.
This guy just managed one of the greatest teams you'll ever see in that 2018 Red Sox squad.
Yeah,
and he had those boys rocking and rolling.
And I don't agree with him still in signs when he was on the Red Sox though either, because they went that extra inning game with the Dodgers that was crazy.
That the Dodgers should have won.
That the Dodgers should have won.
But again, this has nothing to do with anybody on the road. This is all at home.
And then even with the Dodgers once again, they don't play baseball the right way. Okay, so now we take the cameras away. The Dodgers still won't win.
Well, you can say that, but
I can say that because it's true.
You can say that because it's your opinion, and
in my opinion, has been pretty valid for the most part.
And you can keep cutting me off if you'd like to, but the point of the matter is the team that you support cheats, and they have cheated, and it's been proven that they cheated. And
obviously they didn't do it well because they only have one champ.
Just like
one champ.
It doesn't seem to bother you. And I don't know why it doesn't bother you, because if you were playing, I can guarantee that you would have a major problem with this.
No, I wouldn't.
But yeah, okay. But either way it goes, it's very, very interesting that it's not a problem for you. I don't know why, but either way it goes,
because everybody's being a bunch of hypocrites. That's my biggest problem.
Well, and to support that, I will say this: nobody should be cheering or jumping for joy because you only know what is proven at this point.
Exactly.
And so nobody knows what other teams are doing what, but I would
because we know that they're not the only team.
Surprised if anybody else gets caught doing this at home at this point.
Yeah, if they get caught now, but I'm not. But yeah, from this point. But Aaron Judge took down his he said something nice about Jose Altuve. He took it down about their playoff run and everything else. So, come on.
Well, honestly, I feel like the Yankees have more reason to be salty than the Dodgers.
I do
because
too.
the Yankees gave them a series, that series. Not that the Dodgers didn't. They both went 7. But you could see how, especially because the Yankees were more vulnerable pitching-wise,
right? You
could see how that could be a big factor. Because Yankees going to bang the baseball. It doesn't matter where they play.
The Yankees, once again, let's move on.
Move on. I mean, I don't think that the O-Zone listeners are gonna be with you on this one.
They're never with me. It's okay.
No, that's not true. You have 2 or 3 fans.
Sometimes we'll ride with me 2 or 3. I have space in my minivan.
Sometimes our mother likes what you say. Sometimes, but back to football. Yeah, the Titans just rolled on, and I felt like I took the Ravens. If you remember, I had a sneaking suspicion that Derrick Henry was going to run all over the place. But I was disappointed in Coach Harbaugh to a certain degree because, like we said, I actually feel like neither one of those teams are built to play from behind. And I think that whoever jumped out early is going to win that game. And in general, if you jump out early on the Tennessee Titans, it's going to negate Derrick Henry's ability. Not his personal ability, but the ability to continue to pound with him and run the clock if you're down 10 or 14.
But you have to get a big lead on them in order to take him out. And I don't think that they'll be able to do it because with each possession that they get, they're going to run the ball at least 3 to 4 times.
Well, and this is what I'm saying.
It's going to take 5 minutes.
To the Ravens, the issue that I have with everybody acting like Lamar Jackson somehow or another was, irrelevant. The thing that I saw from Lamar was something that is in a stark contrast to what I saw with Pat Mahomes. Was guys dropped a lot of passes for Lamar Jackson as well. Good passes that he put on the money that guys dropped.
But earlier in the game, he threw a pass that was a terrible pass that they ended up hurting the team more so than it hurt him more than it hurt anybody because this was their first possession after they stopped Derrick Henry and them. They marched the ball down there and then he threw an interception to
big pick.
Yeah, the big pick, and that's on him. And
that was on him.
And the biggest thing is that what I wanted to talk about as well is that when you talk about Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, one of the things that Lamar Jackson doesn't do that they do well is he throws sidearm and stuff like that, but they throw sidearm on the move like baseball players, like shorts,
middle infielders.
Yeah, like middle infielders. He doesn't really do that. If you watch him,
but that's not. I don't hold that against him.
But no, you can't hold it.
He's not a baseball player.
Yeah, but it turns out to be big though in situations like with the Kansas City Chiefs where they can come back and Russell Wilson when they can make up plays as they go because they can actually throw the football as if they're a middle infielder.
They can find the angles.
Yeah, they find the angles, and that's big because when Lamar Jackson is doing it, he has to stop and pop. In a sense, you know what I'm saying? And that hurt him, and he gets under the ball, so he overthrew that pass that got tipped up in the air and then turned into a pick.
Another big thing was the way you have to give a lot of credit to Coach Vrabel. A lot of what they did was keeping him under control in the pocket.
Yeah,
that spy situation seemed like a major. It wasn't,
This is a Belichick, thing.
Yeah, it was Belichick 101.
Belichick, no, it's actually Bill Parcells 101 that turns into a Belichick 101. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not rocket science on how to contain a quarterback that likes to take off. You have a spy on that quarterback, and they kept him contained for the most part. You're not going to be able to completely stop him, but for the most part, you can keep him under control, and that's what you need to do because if Derrick Henry is running the ball, he's pounding the ball, he's going to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes out of each possession.
Yeah.
But with Lamar Jackson running the ball, I think the longest run he had was about 30-something yards. But then after that, there were 4-3. He got sacked a couple of times.
Ingram got hurt again.
Yeah, then Ingram got hurt again. And then now you're talking about, now it's more of a ball control.
And he was getting hit hard.
And one of the things that they're not speaking about is that the Tennessee Titans kicker is one of the best. That's special teams. He
pins you.
Yeah, he pins you down.
Yeah,
and it turns into a game of time of possession and field position. And most of the teams don't recognize that, it seems.
Yeah, well, they definitely weren't able to overcome that out in Baltimore. But to go on to the next game, which was one of the wildest football games that I've ever seen in my life.
Wow,
was that Houston Texans Kansas City Chiefs game. I picked the Chiefs. You guys who listen know I picked the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. I actually think the Chiefs can win the Super Bowl this year. And when it was 24-0, I was saying to myself, wow, this is amazing. I didn't think I had it this wrong. I know I'm not a football guy per se.
Right.
But it was.
I wasn't worried.
Well, it's very interesting to watch because one thing that I will say about that I have a problem with with the running quarterback. Running quarterbacks now take too much liberty and too much time with the fact that they can extend plays.
Right.
And
they sit back there, they smoke a pack of Black and Milds, and everything else. They put on their smoking jacket.
They chill.
Who do I have down the field now?
Look at that. It's Mark Andrews.
He's open.
Oh, he's not open anymore. I'll just dance a little bit more. And it's an interesting thing because what we saw was great. One, I saw Deshaun Watson. Somebody tried to tell me how Deshaun Watson lost focus and wasn't game after he got the 24-0 lead. I couldn't disagree more. When they started to come back, Deshaun Watson looked like he was playing in the backyard. He looked so happy. Yeah. You could see he loves the competition.
But I saw the defense get demoralized.
That's what I saw.
That was more so than anything because the defense
mental lapses.
In their mind, they thought that the game was over.
They had already started celebrating.
And Patrick Mahomes was like, "Oh, really? This is okay."
And Pat Mahomes showed great leadership. And I really believe, just like I said before, Lamar Jackson's greatness this year made people have amnesia about Pat Mahomes' greatness. And Pat Mahomes is great. And then Pat Mahomes got hurt at a point this season. So then, a little bit of the spotlight went off of him. But these Kansas City Chiefs have nothing but weapons. And you brought up a great point, which is it's almost impossible to blow Pat Mahomes out.
Yeah, you're going to have a hard time blowing him out.
Even when it's football.
Yeah, even when Kansas City lost to Tennessee earlier in the year, I think it was by 3 points, 35-38 or something like that.
And he only runs when he needs to.
Yeah, he's a throw-first guy.
That's it. To go, but he can break on you.
He did break on him.
To go from 24-0 to 51, basically throwing a shutout for the rest of the game. Yeah.
I think they kicked the field goal. That was it. It was 21-0. Then it was 24-7.
No, it was 24-0.
24-0.
Yeah, I was sitting watching. I was like, wow.
What was the final? 24-51. No, they got
29-51.
Yeah, they scored one more time. But
it was junk time. It was a junk time.
You're not gonna blow them out. I mean, but you can get. I feel like the way to beat them is in the tight game. And I honestly, with everything, the way that it's fallen now, I would have to take the 49ers over everybody because
the 49ers look the least ring rusty out of all the teams that got the bye.
I don't buy into that rust. I don't buy into the rust. These guys, once again, just like you were just talking about being professional. I can't take a week off and all of a sudden I can't catch a football. Come on, man. And that was the elite players. That was Tyreek Hill.
That's Travis Kelce.
Damian Williams. That was all of them. They didn't catch a pass almost in the first quarter.
And out there with the Ravens too.
Yeah.
They had the drop seats as well.
So you can't tell me that a professional.
That's just focus.
Yeah, that's just focus.
And I can't even put that on the coach. And
I told you I put it on the coach because the coach has to have you mentally prepared to understand that now it is time to execute. You've had your week off. You're rehabilitated. And
your body's back.
Yeah, and you have no excuse not to catch the ball. I'm paying you millions of dollars to catch the ball or to run the ball, and I need you to do just that. And but it was all about mental, the mentality of it, because once they made that catch, once Travis Kelce caught the ball, the team was like, oh, okay, this is what we're here to do.
And all of a sudden, the other thing was Pat Mahomes getting in them late, which was nice. Mm-hmm. Getting in them early, as far as him rallying the troops. And then when we move on, a disappointing game. I was speaking with my heart, but Russell Wilson seemed like he was out there alone again.
He was.
I still wasn't impressed with Green Bay. I still wasn't.
I'm not impressed with a team that's one-dimensional. You say that your defense is great, but it's actually not because you haven't had anybody to play. When you played against the 49ers before, what happened?
They were frightened.
Exactly, scared to death. And then when you listen to Aaron Rodgers speak on it, it doesn't sound like he's confident.
He doesn't sound confident.
And then you top it off with, I have a hard time believing that the 49ers are going to let a team come out there and beat them with one player. He passes to Devonta Adams almost every single play.
Terrible defense by the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah. There was some really bad plays. That play where they literally invited him to the open side of the field so the guy that runs the 4-3 can just cut across. It made no sense whatsoever.
But and they clamped down for got him third and long twice and couldn't close the deal, and then you have them so that Russell Wilson might be able to get the ball back, because Russell Wilson, I believe in my heart, Russell Wilson would have got the ball back.
He could have got the ball back.
He would have won that game. He would have won that game. But the thing of it is that you're talking about giving Jimmy Graham a cushion, and you need to stop him from getting X amount of yards, a medium yardage situation. So you have to actually meet him at the line. You can't give him a cushion. Come on, dude, man.
There was just a lot of
poor defensive coordinating. Yeah. I'm not high on Pete Carroll because Pete Carroll won't give Russell Wilson, who I feel like is the best player in football, the tools that he needs to win. If you put Russell Wilson on any of these other teams that we've been speaking about, are you crazy? Besides Baltimore,
ring them up.
I mean, you can
put them on Baltimore.
Well, Baltimore doesn't have a lot of talent. Baltimore has an above average tight end, and then they have a running back.
But they have a nice secondary.
Yeah, they do have a nice secondary.
They can't stop the run, but they can stop the pass.
Yeah. But other than that, you talk about putting Russell Wilson on any of these teams, and he might go undefeated. I mean,
might go undefeated.
This is how crazy and insane it is. But I don't think that we really respect the talent that we see in him.
And haven't for the last 7 years.
Yeah, because
he's been in the league. He's been nice since he got to the league.
He beat all of the top number one quarterbacks in football. The first year he came up.
Yep, he was ready.
I thought,
and even the game that they lost in the playoffs to Atlanta, they should have won.
Right,
that was on Pete Carroll.
That was on Pete Carroll being Eagle.
Mismanagement on the timeouts on his time. And then the last game that happened this weekend isn't even really worth covering because that was Niner gang, bang bang. The Niners destroyed the Skull Tech.
Yeah, do it for the Tipper.
Yeah, this Tipper went 0 for 2 this weekend. He slept with his heart about Clemson too. Might have to do it with the Tipper on the line,
ready to go
for a roast session. But yeah, the Niners beat the crap out of them. But what I want to do is to look forward to this next game. I think that we're going to see somewhat of a repeat from the 49ers Green Bay game from that same week as the Wilder fight. I don't have any reason to believe not. I think Jimmy G is actually getting better because who's escaping the microscope in this whole thing is Jimmy G. Jimmy G doesn't look great.
I don't think he looks bad. He doesn't have to look great though.
But he doesn't look great.
He does his job. He's a little bit better than a manager. He hits the big passes when you need to. He passes the ball back there with confidence. And one of the things you have to look at is that Bill Belichick is looking at his quarterback of the future out there actually producing. He's poised when you watch him play. He doesn't look rattled or he doesn't look afraid or anything.
He doesn't look like Josh Allen, but I don't think he looks like Jimmy G of the regular season.
I think he does.
What I do think is each game is going to get him more and more confident.
But that's life.
Yeah.
But you're talking about him with George Kittle's out there. George Kittle's is one of the best, if not the best, tight end in football. Yep. You got a possession receiver in Emmanuel Sanders, and then you got a bunch of young burners out there.
And you got a three-headed monster in
Breida, Mostert, and Tevin Coleman. So, I mean, the dude can be really comfortable.
And you got a crazy defense.
And then your defense is the best defense in football.
Crazy front four. Crazy linebacker core, and Richard Sherman is out there looking like it's 2015, 2016.
Yeah, but when you talk about it, you can match up Richard Sherman with Devonta Adams, and now Aaron Rodgers is dead, and this is exactly what happened to him last time. But one of the things that the 49ers do bring to the table is that they have actual linebackers and linemen that has size that can actually slow down Derrick Henry. Even if you can't stop him, if you hold him to 100 yards, you've done a good job.
Yeah.
And they can actually do that because now you're talking about Richard Sherman out there.
The idea of not having to blitz to stop a Derrick Henry.
Come on, man. You crazy?
Huge.
Yes.
Huge. Yes. Huge. Yeah, for sure. So this weekend, I'm taking the 49ers, and I'm taking the Chiefs. I think we're looking at the 49ers and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Once again, I will go with the Titans. If you run the ball 30 to 35 times.
Not 34.
I'm going off 30. Remember, I went off of 34. You rolled me off of 34 last week. So I'm going with 35. 30 to 35 times, and they will beat the Kansas City Chiefs again because Patrick Mahomes needs to get on the field. He won't be able to get on the field and do the magic if he's not on the field.
Be able to do Fitz magic.
You can't do Fit.
That's going to be. I anticipate that to be a better game to watch.
Yeah. To say that the Chiefs need to get out and extend the lead to get Derrick Henry out of the game to be a factor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but see, I actually believe that the Chiefs can beat them if Derrick Henry's a factor, and that's
now he has already proven that they can't. And basically, when it comes down to too much time off the clock, just like I told you last week with the Lamar Jackson, who had the best offense pretty much in football. You have to be on the field to play, just like back in. Yeah, Bill Parcells had brought that in. You can be as good as you want to. He's won with a bunch of not even above average running backs. I mean, he won with a bunch of mediocre running backs that he just clock management, killed the clock. Look at the Buffalo Bills. I feel like the Buffalo Bills offense was way better than what we're looking at with the, especially if you had them playing nowadays, but the Buffalo Bills back in the day playing against the Giants. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they shouldn't. The Giants
that offense was insane.
That offense was insane.
Thomas and
Andre Reed and what is it?
I mean Kelly.
Yeah, and then who was the other? Was it Largent or whatever? Who was the other receiver? Big time receiver.
It was a big time receiver.
Yeah, it was a big time receiver out there though. But what they did,
dang it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So then you're talking about slowing the game down. I think that game ended 20 to 19 or something crazy. I mean, you have to get on the field to be able to perform.
Yeah. And yeah, those are my football picks. And now let's move into the coverage of what happened to the Clemson Tigers with Do It for the Tipper. Do It for the Tipper, live on the O-ZONE, GEAUX Tigres. What happened to Clemson and Dabo Swinney last night, my friend?
They ran against a powerhouse, and numbers didn't lie last night. Them boys was out there hitting hard, running fast, and Broadway Joe was putting the ball on the money.
Man, that kid is ready to go.
He was ready to go yesterday. I mean, if you ever played any type of football and you're a receiver, you will want the ball the way that he was leading his receivers, where only they can just run up under and get it. Man, that's touchdown all day.
It was nice work. The other thing that I really liked about him was he actually showed up in adversity, because they went down for the first time this year, and he battled back like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing?
And he got hit.
He took a shot, too. He took a shot, man. And you could tell that his ribs was on swole, flamed up. But he came back and, he was dishing the ball out. It was Trevor Lawrence just had one of his worst games, but like they were saying, this is the second year there. Broadway Joe, he been there for 4 years. So you can see the maturity and the level of the game was just not. He wasn't. Usually that's what Clemson would do. They'll make the adjustment, Dabo, but, great game again. Dabo was perfect. He went up to the kid, let them know, like, look, it just wasn't your night. It happened that way. So they already favored to win next year, too. So,
wow.
Clemson Tigers on mine, fool.
Tell that to everybody you told to bet.
Nasty. I knew nasty today. I just knew it.
Well, that's all right. Would you prefer to talk about the Vikings?
No.
How they got ran through?
Wow. Josh Donaldson just agreed to a 4-year deal with the Minnesota Twins. What are they going to do with Miguel Sano?
Miguel Sano was up and down earlier.
He was, but Miguel Sano get you in the right situation.
But he ain't Josh Donaldson.
He's not.
Maybe they can move him to first base. Sano.
This is true. Now, Do It for the Tipper. We had a question come in from an O-ZONE listener, and that question pertained to the video footage of Odell Beckham sliding wads of cash.
That's not acceptable.
To the receivers. Is this an NCAA violation to your knowledge?
Wow. I've seen that, and I'm like, what is this dude doing?
That was terrible.
Why is the receivers?
He should have dropped it on the field.
No, we've all been on the college campus, and it's a struggle.
Yes.
But to do this on camera is like, that puts, apparently the kids are going to the league, because if they're going to take money like that, hopefully
you better be going to the
juniors
league.
or seniors, and they're going to the league. But it messes up everything for that head coach and for that entire system. They're instantly on probation right now.
It sounds like you put him on probation.
Instantly. Look, yeah, O-ZONE, let's put him on probation right now. I seen that, and I'm like, okay, he could have dropped it in the confetti, or hey, dog, pick that up. But he's slapping hands before counting 5 bills in my head.
There was nothing subtle about that.
And there was no reason for it, just the floss.
There was no reason. That was just the floss. You know what the rules are, man. And now I am for NCAA athletes getting paid. I'm all for it. But the part that I don't understand is, why do we need to do that then? Johnny on the spot. This was so just stupid. Because if a donor... let's just keep it 100.
An alumni.
If a white man in a suit with a big belly would have walked on the field with a suitcase full of money and just started passing it out, there would be a major problem for LSU.
Right. Randy Moss would have came from the stands and did the exact same thing. It would be a major problem. If Booger McFarland would have came from the sideline from watching the game and did that, it would be a major problem. It's like, but man, that was the worst part of the game, seeing that.
That was ugly.
It really was ugly, and I'm all for the guys getting paid.
Yeah,
even if
that sets the movement back.
That sets the movement back. Odell.
Yes. Now, again, it's going to put the NCAA eyes all on LSU, who was running a clean program. Now it's like, okay, Odell just messed it up. He really messed it up because they were going to be top 5. Kids are going to go there and get their education, get their football on, and, try to do the right thing. But they're going to be on some type of probation because of this. Hopefully, and as bad as this may sound, but hopefully they can just, find those 2 kids. And then let Odell come out the pocket and pay for them kids fine. But don't punish the kids that didn't take nothing and that's coming in next year. You know what I mean?
It was just unnecessary, man.
Yeah.
You know that you're on television, and I'm not sure what the rules are because you could say I'm just giving him some money, I would think. But why do you have to give it to him there? And
after the game, looks like somebody's on the take. And
that's exactly. It looked like it actually looked the wrong way on a lot of different levels. Then he goes in the locker room and he's raging like he won the game. Hey, man, win a game in the NFL.
Work on your game.
You're right. Win the game with Baker Mayfield. Win the game.
Win a game. Win a game.
He out there like ICP, just out there.
That Insane Clown Posse.
Insane Clown Posse all day in LA, in New Orleans last night. They moved. They relocated from Detroit.
Man, I couldn't believe when I seen that, and I'm like, well, it's like once he knew that the camera was on him, he turned it up even more.
Oh, he really started acting a fool then.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he did that either. It was almost like you picking the Vikings.
Shut up, T.
You did pick the Tigers, though. Just the wrong ones.
Come on, man. I've been good all season, and now you want to do this? You want to do this?
No, you're right. You have been the man all season, and that's a trip, just one game off.
Yep. And I was pumped up. I was so pumped up watching that game. And
especially when they jumped out.
Man, it looked like it was going to go exactly the way you said it was going to go.
And then it just shifted real quick.
Couple big third down conversions where the Clemson defense made some bonehead plays. And I thought it was way bigger than advertised how they punished Clemson for what was not a dirty hit. 2 of them. One they called a blindside block that was not a blindside. The dude was running right towards him. And 2 when they ejected the linebacker. I thought those 2 plays were enormous.
But that blindside block was actually more of a blindside block that they had in the Buffalo Bills game. I'm saying it that more so than what they called for in the Buffalo Bills game to cost Buffalo the playoff game. And
the guy was running towards.
Yeah, but he clipped him a little. I agree. But that other kid,
let's keep that in context.
Yeah, but the rules are so watered down now because that other kid that got kicked out the game, he knew, and everybody knew that he was out of line. That's why they went to go review it. It wasn't even the coach asked for a review; it was a booth review because he did that.
I disagree because the kid actually, me and Bruh Milner were watching, and the kid had time to brace himself for that hit.
But it doesn't matter if you're ready to brace yourself. You're not supposed to be even doing that hit. You're not supposed to leave.
You can't
leave with your helmet. You're not supposed to leave with your helmet.
With his helmet.
He did.
No, he didn't. That's a bad call.
I think he did. I think he put. If the receiver would have got there a little bit faster, then the linebacker wouldn't have had to put his helmet all the way down. He hit him with the crown, with the top of the helmet. And for a linebacker like that, who's, he has a neck brace, shit, so
he walking around with a stinger.
Yeah, he walking around looking to do some dirty work.
He walking around.
He got the Brian Bob.
He walking around with that Chris Spielman.
Oh my goodness,
man! Did you see that award that they handed out? Those that homage that they played to the older guys, Jim Brown and all those guys, Earl Campbell.
I didn't see it.
The top 11. I think that was big. I think they could have did a little bit more. I don't know if it was because on TV or what, but I think they could have acknowledged him a little bit more. All they did was have him stand on the stage and say their names.
Because they couldn't do anything else. Those dudes look terrible.
Well, and also they were too busy trying to acknowledge MAGA.
Right.
Very disappointing outing for the United States last night. This 2 in a row in the southern states, Alabama and Louisiana, back-to-back. These are the only public places that Donald Trump and his wife can go where they actually are accoladed.
That's why he was there.
Right. The votes.
Yep.
Slave votes.
Look, they should have brought Kaepernick on the field, huh?
For what?
Ooh.
That would have got weird. All right, do it for the tipper. Thank you for your service this NCAA football season. The O-ZONE appreciates you. Let us know when you're available to start your basketball preview.
Man, I'm always available. Thank O-ZONE for allowing me to do this NCAA football. Sorry for my missed pick at the last of the season. I hope y'all enjoyed my time and my picks and my commentary. But now let's get into this NCAA basketball. March Madness is coming up. Let's go, Spartans! Let's go, Spartans! Let's go, Spartans!
It's coming up quick. All right, we're going to leave you to towel yourself down over there. Calm down over there, Tipper. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, O-ZONE, I'm out. Love y'all.
Peace.
That'll do it for the Tipper, ladies and gentlemen. Always a pleasure. Staying in football, though, let's talk about the deconstruction of the homie. Antonio Brown is really falling apart.
Wow, I couldn't believe that.
That footage, I mean, you hit me. It was so far-fetched. You hit me questioning whether that was even really him.
Like, is this even real? Looks like some kind of parody.
Yeah, and that's what it looked like, a parody.
It was crazy. He
had a dispute with his baby's mother. His children were there. He's cussing up a storm.
Running the kids down, running
the kids down, running the cops down. And Hollywood, Florida is a wonderful neighborhood.
It's a beautiful neighborhood. Gave me a lot of mosquito bites, but I love it.
Yeah, what can you do? We had an elevator in the house.
We did.
You got to pay.
You got to pay.
You got to pay, John. Got to pay. But, he literally threw a bag of sex toys. He threw a bag of dildos at the chick. He cussed out the police to the point where the Hollywood Police Department came out with a statement today and said they have severed all ties with Antonio Brown.
Like they signed him. He was playing for him.
No. They said they felt like they had a good relationship with him. And this is how bad it is. And this is bad. They returned a massive check to him that he gave to the police department for their PAL league, for the PAL league, for the Police Athletic League. And that says a lot because places like the police department don't return checks. They'll take checks especially down south. They'll take checks from all kind of murders and all sorts of stuff.
I mean, this guy, man, he was so disrespectful, not just to the police department, but and further on in life, his kids are going to see that and he's going to be ashamed of himself. I mean, it was so out of line. It was so out of line. I don't think he's going to get another gig in the NFL.
I think it's completely over. And honestly, I'm at the point where I'm throwing up prayers for the homie because he seems like he's unstable.
Yeah, he definitely has a mental problem.
Something's wrong. I mean, I told you, Antonio was on the pilot episode of Ballers. He's the homie. He's cool.
Maybe one too many hits or something.
I don't know what it is, but it's unfortunate. Really unfortunate. All right, let's finish it up in the world of boxing. Now, this past weekend, Golden Boy put on a card where it was headlined by Jaime Munguia making his middleweight debut against Spike O'Sullivan, who we'd spoken about before, who has now turned into a version of a journeyman. Mm-hmm. Honestly, Jaime Munguia didn't look great.
He never really looks to me to be polished or tightened up. Now, he can get tightened up just by not by me, Mo.
Oh, you want to tighten up,
But he just doesn't look, I don't want to say not prepared. It looks like he has the heart to do the things that he wants to do as far as executing his fight plan. But he was calling out the big names. I don't think that he can last 5 rounds with any of the names that he was calling out, though. Not even an old Triple G.
He doesn't have 5 rounds with an old Triple G. because he gets hit too much.
Yeah, he wants to mix it up, and that's something
you don't want to mix it up with some of these bigger guys.
Yeah.
You can't mix it up with Charlo. You can't mix it up with Canelo. You can't mix it up with old Triple G. You can't. I don't even think you can mix it up with Billy Ray Saunders at that rate.
No, and I mean, and all these guys keep on throwing the Charlo's name in there. None of them want no smoke. I mean, this is the problem. They act like they want to fight the Charlos. It's easy to throw their names out there. No, but do you really want to fight them? I mean, do everything that you can in your power to fight these guys. These guys, the Charlo brothers, are there. They're not hiding. They're not doing anything. They're taking on fights. They're taking down scores. You do what you do.
Now I'm going to tell you something disappointing because there was an absurd card on the Hart-Smith fight. And, again, it'll just go by the wayside, unfortunately. But along that lines of things just going under the radar and just going away, Big Baby Miller's about to get back in the league, and he just signed a multi-fight deal with Top Rank.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
They're real nasty for that.
Bob Arum is suspect. And along those same lines, Regis spoke out and said, I don't want to go to Top Rank and be in the same boat as Crawford where I can't get no fights.
I don't blame him.
Side of the aisle.
I don't blame him. What reason would Crawford is calling out everybody, but everybody has to jump through hoops to be able to fight him through Bob Arum, which Bob Arum has been put into a corner now. I mean, so what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to go and sign with Top Rank and never get any good fights? It would make sense for Big Baby, but not for any other fighter that's on the come up.
It makes sense for somebody who needs fights.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I'm with Regis.
Yeah,
we need to get Prograde back on there and find out what's good.
Rugaroo, yeah, he said he's looking to fight Mikey Garcia if it works out.
That's a great fight.
And he said he's serious about fighting Terrence Crawford at 40 or 47. He just won his belts back. He
I heard that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and it was we also had a record-breaking weekend because Caressa Shields became the fastest fighter in history to get 4 belts. 4 belts or 3 belts?
I think it's 4.
And that was 10 fights.
Yeah.
She's running through the division. This is going to be a long time before somebody has worked for her, even though I think she looked better. I don't know if you saw the fight or not.
I saw it.
She looked better fundamentally this time than I've ever seen because in the past she's really bullied girls.
Well, and it was wild. It was a wild fight. And
they're all wild, but she looks like she's been working on getting sharper is what I'm saying.
And then the girl said, I read it, about a day later or so, said that she actually doesn't hit hard. She just throws punches and bunches.
And you know why she doesn't hit hard? It's not that she doesn't have strength.
She doesn't sit down on the punches.
She doesn't sit down on her. She doesn't have leverage because she's always in these funky moves.
Yeah.
But she's a better athlete than all these girls, so she's using that on them.
Right.
But I saw her get crisp with her jab, which was very encouraging. Mm-hmm. And she scored her first knockdown of her career, which was which was body work, actually. It was body snatching.
Made old girl take a knee.
Did. Had to take a Kaepernick. So now, and moving on to tennis, really cool thing that's kind of like that Laver Cup that we went to, that we covered, is a new thing called the ATP Cup. And they just played, and it was country versus country. And it came down to Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal for Serbia and Spain. Serbia ended up winning. It was great. And Serena Williams won down there too in Brisbane in the run up to the Australian Open. It's a nice start to the tennis 2020 season. And we're moving on and moving forward. You got anything else you want to cover?
That's a lot, dude. I'm full.
You're full of sign stealing.
We'll see. The season's about to start. I don't know, and I think the Astros probably are still close to being favored.
Close to being favored to win it all?
Yeah.
I mean, that'll be really interesting to see.
It's definitely going to be interesting, but I have a feeling that George Springer will still be George Springer, and Alex Bregman will still be Alex Bregman, and Jose Altuve will be, and I mean, they have a monster team. So, and not only that, with the kids that were there, obviously they weren't getting the signs because they couldn't hit the ball. So something's not. I mean, let's see how this season pans out.
Interesting. All right, going to leave you with a quote here. And that quote is going to be from Michelangelo.
Michelangelo got to say one, huh?
You got to say about faith. And he's going to say, faith in oneself is the best and safest course. Believe in yourselves, folks. It's a new beginning, new chapter. You can accomplish anything because you're a part of the O-ZONE. I'm your host, Omar Miller, and you actually can accomplish a lot without us, but just keep listening. I will see you soon. Next week, there's more to talk about football, and continued Dodger fallout.
O-ZONE.
I'm just living the dream. I'm in love put the lights.